Now I request Optima Poultry Private Limited to go ahead with your presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you are doing great. So I'm from Optima Poultry Private Limited. Before I go into the talk, let me introduce briefly about myself. So my name is Dr. Brinda Balasubramanian. I did my bachelor's and master's in veterinary microbiology from Pondicherry University, and I briefly worked in a poultry industry for 3 years, and then I went for my PhD program in the University of Connecticut, where I did my PhD in food microbiology and safety. Then I joined Optima Poultry as a product manager, as well as I'm the head of the microbiology laboratory as well. So we have a company in Coimbatore based, and it started by in 2011 by Dr. Kunashekaran, and we also have manufacturing unit and R&D center in Coimbatore as well, and we also have laboratory services for nutrition as well as microbiology. So before moving into the topic, biosecurity, we consider biosecurity as the backbone of the healthy poultry industry. Why? It's because biosecurity in terms, it means that it either to control or prevent the pathogen entry into the poultry or the poultry farms. So by following biosecurity protocol, what we can achieve is to prevent the spread of disease within the birds, as well as to prevent the disease from birds to human, especially the outbreak happening currently in India due to consumption of poultry meat contaminated with Campylobacter jejuni, and also to produce the chicken in a sustainable way, and most important is to reduce the cost. So how these pathogens gain entry into the poultry farm? The major route is mainly through the water, feed, as well as vehicle movement, and also it spreads through the people who are handling in the poultry farm and through the rodents and dead birds. So our company focuses product mainly on the feed, water, as well as inside the birds. So some of the biosecurity action plan should be followed, starts from the isolation. So the pathogen gains entry into the farm mainly through the transportation. So once a vehicle comes into the poultry farm, it should be isolated, disinfected, and then it should be sent inside the farm. And second important thing is staff training. So you should educate the staffs well, so that even the minute mistake can happen as a big outbreaks in the farm. So staff training is most important aspect. And also to see the microbial growth and contamination level in the feed and water, which is the main criteria as well. And the last one is pullet replacement, which is for the laying hens. Once you see that the laying hens are infected, it's better to replace them. And another important thing is cleaning and disinfection protocol. Here we come with some of the product to control the pathogens in the farms. And in the previous studies, they have mentioned that, especially from the ICAR, they mentioned by following strict biosecurity protocol, they have reduced 40% of the avian influenza outbreak. And another report by FAO suggests that by following the strict biosecurity program, they reduce 5 to 10% in the outbreaks, which ultimately leads to improvement in the cost. And some of the key terms which we always get confused in, especially in the biosecurity, the first one is disinfectant. Disinfectant means which completely kills the organism, which could be either bacteria or virus or fungi. And the second category is sanitizer. Sanitizer not necessarily kills the organism, but it just maintains it. It's neither going to kill or allow them to grow. And antiseptics, it's the same, but it kills or reduces bacteria on the living tissues. And the last one is a process, sterilization, which is completely eliminating all microorganisms, which can be done by sterilization, moist heat, and hot air and those kind of stuffs. So in general, if any chemical compounds or any product to be called as a disinfectant, it should be able to kill at least 3 logs of bacteria. So 3 logs is nothing but 1,000 cells. So if I claim my product is a disinfectant, And then if I do some trials on the bacteria, like for example, if I allow the bacteria to grow in presence of disinfectant at a particular concentration, if I see that there is no reduction in the pathogen growth or any organism growth, I cannot claim that as a disinfectant. So any chemical compound, if it can reduce at least minimum 3 log, it can be considered as disinfectant. If it is more than 3 log, it is well and good. And currently in India, these are the main categories of disinfectant which are commonly used, which like chlorine-based compounds, quartz, peracetic acid, hydrogen peroxide, ozone. Each category has its own advantages and disadvantages. Especially for ozone, it is considered to be a strong oxidant and antimicrobial gas. But if you use in presence of organic load, it becomes like useless. So similarly, everything has its own advantage and disadvantage. Choosing the right disinfectant is in our hands. And as I mentioned earlier, this is how we represent the disinfectant efficacy. So you will usually see in like the Listerine mouthwash or any disinfectant product, you can see 99.9% it reduces bacteria. But it's not that much. By looking at like some common man, they think that it's completely killing. It's like 99.9%. But 99.9% is just 3 log reduction, 1,000 cells. That's a minimum criteria for anything to be called as a disinfectant. So we have a range of product which comes under disinfectant, sanitizers as well. So these 3 products comes under disinfectant. So disinfectants, the compound can be used as a disinfectant or sanitizer based on the concentration. Because if I use 1% of any like quartz, for example, it can kill. But then if I use the same thing as a 10 ppm or 20 ppm, it's not going to kill. It's just going to maintain it. So the same compound can be made as a disinfectant as well as sanitizer as well. And this is our in-house trial report. As I mentioned earlier, in the control, I just allow the staphylococcus to grow in presence of like just media. And then I used one of our product, which is called Valumax. It contains quartz. And we found that after 24 hours of incubation, we found at a concentration of 0.05% could able to reduce 99.9999%, which is nothing but million cells, 10 power 6. And here the picture shows that how it's populated in control and how much it has reduced in the treatment. And this, as I said, those 3 are like comes under disinfectant, and these are like sanitizer-based compounds, which means that this is not going to kill the bacteria completely in the water, but it's going to maintain the safe levels. And also we have, it's not exactly disinfectant, but it controls the pathogens or organisms in the water, where we have product for that called citrifier, which is a liquid, and Curacid, it's for the feed. So these 2 works on the principle of maintaining the pH. And we also have a novel product, which is called Gutsy. As I mentioned earlier, this is also not exactly disinfectant, but it's a plant-based compound, which can be used as a controlling pathogen inside the bird's body. So this works under principle of quorum quenching. So quorum quenching is nothing but bacteria to bacteria communicate by releasing signaling molecules, like how you and me talk. So by quorum quenching those molecules, bacteria cannot communicate, so they cannot express the virulence factor. So in terms, there is no disease outbreaks. So that's the main principle of mechanism of action for this product. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a separate laboratory for nutrition as well as for microbiology. And nutrition is handled by Dr. Sridhar, and that lab is like Enable accredited. And they do testing for feed, like proximate analysis and other parameters. And for microbiology lab, we do water sampling, and then we also do air sampling and sera, like vaccination statuses, serum examination, everything we do. So if you have any questions or any query on about these products or any like science behind it, please feel to reach out to me or Dr. Sridhar in the booth. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.